In the bustling streets of Mexico City, Daniela, a hard-working single mother, begins her day like any other, unaware that her life is about to take an unexpected turn. Invited to a luxury party by a billionaire with intentions of humiliation, Daniela finds herself navigating a world far from her own. But instead of the disgrace Alejandro intended, Daniela's grace and strength earn her the admiration of the party's elite. As Alejandro's plan backfires, Daniela receives an offer that changes her life, while Alejandro learns a humbling lesson about true success and respect. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell to avoid missing any videos. In a world where wealth often dictates power, a billionaire, consumed by arrogance, extended an invitation to a destitute woman, Daniela, with the sinister intention of belittling her in front of an elite crowd at his opulent party. Little did he know, the woman's arrival would leave every guest speechless, forever altering the course of that evening. As the first gentle rays of dawn pierced through the humble cracks of Daniela's tiny, unassuming home in the heart of Mexico City, she was roused from her slumber. The daybreak's light, though soft, seemed to carry the weight of another challenging day ahead. Daniela stretched her weary body, trying to summon the strength that had sustained her through countless struggles. Beside her, in the shared bed that had seen better days, her 8-year-old son, John, lay in deep, innocent sleep, his calm demeanor starkly contrasting the relentless noise of the awakening city outside. Carefully, Daniela rose, her movements slow and deliberate, ensuring not to disturb John's peaceful rest. The kitchen, a small corner of their modest home, soon became her sanctuary as she prepared to greet the day. The familiar, comforting scent of coffee slowly filled the air, a fleeting solace in the crisp morning chill. But just as she began to lose herself in the rhythm of her morning routine, she heard the soft, shuffling footsteps of John approaching. Turning, she greeted him with a smile that masked her worries and embraced him in a hug that spoke of warmth and unspoken love. "Good morning, my precious one. I hope your sleep was as sweet as your dreams," Daniela whispered, her voice tender as she served him their humble breakfast, toast with a thin layer of butter and a steaming cup of coffee. John, still rubbing the sleep from his eyes, returned her smile, his heart brimming with the innocent love only a child can offer. "Good morning, Mom. Did you rest at all? And how are you feeling today?" he asked, his concern genuine and far beyond his tender years. Daniela, determined to shield her son from the harsh realities that weighed on her, sighed inwardly but kept her voice light and reassuring. "I'm doing well, my love. Today, I'm going to search for a new job, something that might bring us a bit more security. While you're at school, I'll visit some places and see what opportunities come our way. But don't worry, my dear. Everything will turn out just fine," she assured him, her hand gently ruffling his hair, a gesture as comforting to her as it was to him. John gazed at his mother with unwavering admiration, his eyes filled with a deep, unconditional love. "I know you'll find something amazing, Mom. You're the strongest and most incredible person in the whole world. I'll be thinking of you all day and cheering for you," he declared, his small voice brimming with the kind of faith that could move mountains, filling Daniela's heart with a renewed sense of purpose and resilience. After their simple meal, Daniela meticulously helped John prepare for the day ahead, ensuring every detail was attended to, from his warm clothes to his school supplies. "Remember, my dear, take the right bus and come straight home after school. Okay? I'll be here waiting for you," she instructed, her voice a blend of gentle guidance and motherly concern. "I will, Mom. I'll remember everything. Good luck with the job hunt. You'll do great. I love you so much," John replied, planting a quick, affectionate kiss on her cheek before dashing out the door, his small figure disappearing into the morning mist as he hurried to catch the bus to his public school. As Daniela watched him go, a profound mix of emotions swirled within her. Hope, fear, determination, and most of all, love. Little did she know, the strength she showed in her everyday life would soon be tested in ways she could never have imagined, as she stepped into a world where wealth and power sought to crush her spirit. But the spark of dignity and grace within her would prove to be far stronger than anyone had anticipated. Daniela lingered at the door for a few moments, her eyes following John as he walked away, his small figure gradually blending into the morning bustle. A deep sense of pride swelled within her chest, yet it was tinged with the heavy burden of the responsibility she bore. The weight of providing for and raising her son alone pressed down on her, but John's unwavering determination was like a beacon, lighting her path forward, no matter how steep and uncertain it seemed. Returning inside, she dressed in the best way she could manage, pulling together the modest pieces of clothing she owned. Her outfit was simple, yet she took care to make it neat and presentable, readying herself for the day's challenges and the slim chance of new opportunities. Before stepping out, Daniela paused to glance at her reflection in the cracked hallway mirror. She adjusted her hair into a tidy high bun, smoothed out her clothes, and drew in a deep, steadying breath. The door clicked shut behind her as she left, her heart infused with a renewed sense of hope and resolve. She knew the day ahead would be long and arduous, full of doors to knock on and likely many more rejections than offers. Yet, the memory of John's innocent smile and his words of encouragement emboldened her spirit. For him, Daniela whispered to herself, "I will endure whatever comes my way." As she stepped into the lively streets of Mexico City, Daniela instinctively followed the familiar route to the local market, a ritual born out of necessity. The morning air was still cool and fresh, carrying with it the faint sense of the city waking up. The streets were already alive with the rapid rhythm of daily life, each person caught in their rush to face the day. As she walked, Daniela mentally recited the list of essentials she needed to buy, her thoughts fixated on the precious few coins jingling in her pocket. "We need rice, maybe some vegetables, and if the price is favorable, a small piece of chicken," she calculated, feeling the weight of each coin, each one carefully budgeted, each one essential. Upon reaching the market, Daniela made her way straight to the stalls she knew offered the best deals. Her hands moved with practiced precision as she selected each item, her mind swiftly calculating and recalculating to ensure her purchases stayed within the tight confines of her budget. The line at the checkout was mercifully short, yet to Daniela, it felt as if time had slowed, each second stretching into eternity as she anxiously awaited her turn. She was eager to complete the transaction and move on with the day, her thoughts already drifting towards the daunting task of job hunting. It was then that a man stepped into the line behind her. Alejandro, his name was, dressed impeccably in an elegant suit that stood in stark contrast to Daniela's simple attire. He carried a large selection of items, a luxury she could hardly afford. Alejandro quickly noticed the difference between them. The disparity in their circumstances was clear as day. With a gesture both noble and disarming, he offered her his place in line. "Please go ahead of me. You have much less to purchase," he said, his voice warm and his smile kind. Daniela, taken aback by his generosity, murmured her thanks as she moved forward, feeling a mixture of gratitude and an acute awareness of the vast gulf between their worlds. As she placed her meager purchases on the counter, Daniela watched each item being rung up with a growing sense of apprehension. Her heart pounded in her chest, the steady rhythm of anxiety quickening as the total crept higher and higher. When the cashier finally announced the total, the words seemed to hang in the air, heavy and final. "Ma'am, here's your total. Please let me know how you'll be paying." Daniela's breath caught in her throat as reality hit her like a cold wave. She had miscalculated. The total was slightly higher than she had anticipated, more than the few coins she had carefully counted and brought with her. For a brief moment, Daniela froze, a flood of emotions washing over her. Shame, panic, and an overwhelming sense of helplessness. She felt the eyes of the world on her, each second stretching into what felt like an eternity as she stood there, paralyzed by the realization that she couldn't afford even the simplest of necessities. The weight of her situation bore down on her, and all she could think was how much she didn't want to disappoint John, how she didn't want him to see her struggle. The determination she had felt just moments ago wavered, but then she recalled John's encouraging words, his unwavering belief in her. With a deep breath, Daniela steeled herself, ready to face this moment of difficulty with the quiet dignity that had carried her through so many others. "There must be a mistake," Daniela stammered, her voice trembling slightly as she tried to maintain a facade of calm. Inside, panic churned as she mentally retraced every step she had taken, every item she had picked up, and every coin she had counted before leaving the house. I was so careful. I counted the money before I came. It should be enough, she added, though her words wavered with a growing sense of uncertainty. Her hands moved frantically, searching her pockets for any stray coins that might have escaped her notice, each motion a desperate attempt to find a solution to the looming crisis. The cashier, a young man with a sympathetic yet weary expression, waited patiently, though the impatience of the growing line behind her was palpable. As the queue lengthened, the atmosphere in the market seemed to shift, and Daniela could feel the weight of judgmental eyes upon her. Alejandro, standing behind her, watched the scene unfold with a complicated mix of emotions. His gaze was inscrutable, a blend of curiosity and something close to disdain, as if he couldn't quite fathom how someone could be in such a precarious position over what seemed like a trivial amount. How could she possibly not have enough money for such basic groceries? He mused internally, the thought lingering as he observed the growing tension. For a fleeting moment, the bustling market seemed to hush, the usual noise fading into the background as all attention centered on Daniela and her struggle. A small drama that to her felt like a public spectacle. "Just a moment, please. I'll have to count the coins again," Daniela muttered, her voice barely above a whisper, thick with the embarrassment that clawed at her. She felt each stare like a physical blow, each one adding another layer of shame to the already unbearable situation. Her hands, now trembling visibly, placed the coins on the counter one by one, each clink echoing her fading hope. As she counted, it became painfully clear that she had miscalculated. The coins fell short of the total. A heavy silence followed, punctuated only by the faint sound of metal against metal, a harsh reminder of her dire reality. The cashier, trying to maintain his composure and efficiency in the face of the growing line, gave Daniela a look of understanding but remained firm. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but without the full amount, I can't let you take these items," he said, his tone gentle yet definitive. With that, he began to separate the groceries, removing them from the counter with a sense of finality that sent a wave of despair crashing over Daniela. She could feel the heat rising in her cheeks, her face burning with the humiliation of being so exposed, so vulnerable in front of strangers. In a voice tinged with desperation, she tried to explain, her words tumbling out in a hurried stream. "I'm so sorry. I thought I counted correctly. I'm looking for a job today, and this was supposed to last us until I could find something. I didn't mean to cause any trouble," she pleaded, the frustration and need evident in every syllable. It was at that precise moment that Alejandro, who had been watching with a detached interest, decided to step in. His voice, calm and authoritative, cut through the tension like a knife. "I'll pay for her groceries," he declared, his tone leaving no room for argument. He handed his card to the cashier, who blinked in surprise before quickly processing the payment. Daniela opened her mouth to protest, but the look in Alejandro's eyes, a mix of firm resolve and something else she couldn't quite place, silenced her objections. "There's no need to thank me," he added, his lips curling into an enigmatic smile. "Consider it a simple act of goodwill." As the transaction was completed, Alejandro turned to Daniela, initiating a conversation that seemed casual but was laced with a deeper, almost probing curiosity. "You mentioned you're looking for a job. Has it been difficult to find something that suits your skills?" His voice was polite, even warm, but beneath it was a thread of intrigue, as if her response held the key to a puzzle he was intent on solving. Still reeling from the unexpected kindness, Daniela hesitated before answering, her voice steadying as she spoke. "Yes, it's been challenging. There are so many people out there looking for work, and the opportunities seem so few, especially for someone like me who doesn't have much formal education. But I have to keep trying, for my son. He's depending on me," she said, her determination shining through despite the fatigue that weighed on her. Alejandro listened intently, his interest deepening as she spoke. He found himself drawn to the quiet strength in her words, the unyielding resolve that seemed to define her. An idea began to form in his mind. A plan, something that would satisfy his curiosity and perhaps entertain him as well. He recalled the luxury party he was due to attend, an event teeming with the wealthy and powerful, individuals who thrived in environments far removed from the world Daniela inhabited. The thought of placing her in such a setting, to see how she would navigate a world so alien to her, sparked a strange amusement within him. It would be fascinating to see how you handle yourself in a place far beyond your usual surroundings, among the elite, where intelligence and success are the currency. He mused silently, his mind already concocting the next steps of his scheme. You know, Alejandro began casually as the cashier continued to ring up his purchases. I'm attending an event soon, a party that will gather several influential people, many of them company owners. It might be a good opportunity for you, he suggested, his tone light as if he were merely offering a harmless idea. Daniela, caught off guard by the unexpected offer, shook her head with uncertainty. I don't know if I'd fit in there. I'm not used to those kinds of events. I'd probably say or do something wrong, and everyone would laugh at me, she replied, the doubt in her voice betraying her lack of confidence. She had never moved in such circles, and Alejandro, with his polished demeanor and expensive suit, represented a world far removed from her own. The contrast between them only intensified her apprehension. But Alejandro persisted, his interest in the situation growing with every passing moment. I think you might surprise yourself. Consider it an extension of my gesture today. Who knows what doors it might open for you? He pressed on, pulling an elegant invitation from the inner pocket of his suit. He handed it to Daniela with a smooth, practiced gesture. Here you go. It's this Saturday night. Think of it not just as a social event, but as an opportunity. By the way, my name is Alejandro Diaz. Daniela took the invitation, feeling the weight of the sophisticated cardstock in her hand. A vivid reminder of how different this was from anything she had ever experienced. She hesitated, the envelope in her grasp, torn between curiosity and caution. I don't know what to say. This feels like something completely out of my league, but at the same time, it could be exactly what I need, she murmured, her voice reflecting the storm of emotions swirling within her. Alejandro smiled, a gesture that seemed both reassuring and enigmatic. Sometimes, stepping into a new world can lead to the very opportunities you've been searching for. And don't worry about what to wear. Just come as you are. No one will laugh at you or make fun. You can be yourself. His words were soothing, but beneath them lay a different intent. A plan driven by malice. Alejandro wasn't just being kind. He was setting the stage for his amusement. He wanted a spectacle, someone to ridicule, someone who would make him stand out at the party as the one in control. Daniela mulled over his words. The idea of stepping into a world so alien to her own was both terrifying and strangely exhilarating. All right, she finally agreed, the decision made not out of confidence, but out of sudden, impulsive bravery. I'll go. Thank you for this and for what you did today. If I end up going to the party, I suppose I'll see you there. You can call me Daniela. Alejandro nodded, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. Excellent, Daniela. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. I have a feeling it will be an interesting night for both of us. With that, he took his neatly packed purchases, offered a discreet farewell, and left the market, leaving Daniela alone with her thoughts and the invitation that now felt heavier than before. As Daniela walked out of the market, the weight of the invitation in her pocket seemed to grow with every step. It was both a burden and a promise, a tangible symbol of the unknown that lay ahead. Alejandro's unexpected generosity had not only rescued her from an immediate predicament, but had also opened a door to a world that was as foreign as it was enticing. Will I be ready for this? She wondered, her heart racing with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. The streets of Mexico City, now bathed in the unforgiving heat of the midday sun, felt different to Daniela as she made her way home. The invitation to a luxurious party nestled in her pocket, and the memory of Alejandro's offer consumed her thoughts. For the first time in what felt like ages, she felt a flicker of hope about the future. Maybe today isn't the day to search for a job. Perhaps this is the opportunity I've been waiting for. The one that could change everything for me and, more importantly, for John. She thought, the idea taking root in her mind. When she finally arrived home, there was little time to fully process the whirlwind of events before she heard the familiar sound of John's hurried footsteps mingling with the rumble of the school bus pulling away. The sound brought an immediate smile to her face, filling her heart with warmth and reminding her of the reason she fought so hard every day. When the door opened and John burst through, his eyes met hers, and a wide, joyful grin spread across his face. "Mom!" he exclaimed, rushing to wrap his arms around her. In that moment, the tight embrace, overflowing with love and comfort, became a sanctuary for Daniela's weary soul, a reminder that no matter how uncertain the future, her son's happiness was worth every struggle and every sacrifice. She hadn't seen in a long time self-assurance. Daniela took a deep breath, trying to dispel the lingering doubts that threatened to creep back into her mind. The dress, though simple, seemed to transform her, offering a glimpse of the woman she could be if only she dared to step out of her comfort zone. It wasn't just the dress. It was the way it made her feel, elegant, poised, and somehow ready to face whatever challenges the night might bring. "How was school, my love?" Daniela asked as she gently guided John into the kitchen, where she began preparing lunch with the ingredients she had managed to buy, thanks to Alejandro's unexpected help. The rhythmic act of cooking, a routine so deeply ingrained in her daily life, provided a much-needed anchor for her racing thoughts. As she chopped vegetables and stirred the pot, her mind kept drifting back to the invitation that now lay on the small table nearby, a constant reminder of the unknown that awaited her. "It was great, Mom. I learned so many new things, and I had so much fun playing with my friends during all the breaks," John replied enthusiastically. "The teacher even praised me for my math grade and said I'm going to stand out a lot this year. And you, Mom? Did you find a job?" His bright eyes, full of innocent curiosity, searched hers for answers, not yet aware of the complexities and uncertainties that plagued adult life. Daniela sighed softly, her expression tender as she recalled the day's events. "Well, I didn't find a job, but something very unexpected happened," she began, her words slow and deliberate as she recounted the encounter with Alejandro at the market. She told John about how the man had paid for her groceries, and finally, about the invitation to the luxurious party. Her voice carried a note of hesitation as if she were still trying to convince herself of the reality of the situation. John's reaction was immediate, his youthful enthusiasm shining through. "Wow, Mom, you have to go. Could be a great opportunity. That man seems like he has a really good heart to help people who need it. Don't keep the gentleman waiting," he exclaimed, his excitement contagious, his eyes sparkling with the thrill of the unknown, even though the adventure belonged to his mother. Buoyed by John's unwavering support, Daniela felt a smile spread across her face, her earlier insecurities starting to fade in the light of her son's encouragement. "Do you think I should go, sweetheart? I'm not sure I have anything appropriate to wear," she mused aloud, her thoughts turning to the modest collection of clothes hanging in her small closet. Most were old and worn. None seemed suitable for the grandeur of the event she had been invited to. But John, with the simple confidence that only a child possesses, jumped up from the table and pulled Daniela toward their bedroom. "Let's see what you have, Mom. I'm sure there's something perfect waiting for you in the closet," he declared with conviction. Together, they sifted through her wardrobe, carefully evaluating each piece with a mixture of hope and critical eyes. Finally, they settled on a dress, simple yet elegant, a garment Daniela had rarely worn but had always kept for special occasions. "You'll look beautiful in this, Mom," John said with certainty, his voice filled with an assurance that Daniela hadn't felt in herself for a long time. Later that evening, as she held the invitation in her hand, Daniela allowed herself to dream. The thin paper seemed like a key to a world she had never imagined entering, a world where hope and possibility intertwined with reality. Lying in bed, she turned the invitation over in her fingers, contemplating what the night might bring. "What if I go?" she thought, the excitement and anxiety bubbling up inside her. What if this night changes everything? My son believes in it, and I want to believe in his hopes too. As the days passed and the evening of the party finally arrived, Daniela found herself awash in a sea of emotions. Anticipation, fear, hope, and a quiet determination that had been growing ever since that day at the market. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm orange glow that bathed the city in a soft, golden light. Daniela stood in front of the mirror, her heart pounding as she slipped into the dress they had chosen. The fabric felt cool against her skin, and as she adjusted it, she marveled at how something so simple could make her feel so different. Staring at her reflection, Daniela made a conscious effort to summon every ounce of self-esteem and confidence she could muster. These were qualities that had often eluded her, but tonight, she needed them more than ever. "I will succeed," she whispered to herself, her voice firm as if saying the words could make them true. "I will go to that party, and they will see me, not just as someone to be pitied, but as someone who belongs." She watched as the dress fell gracefully over her frame, the soft fabric accentuating her form in a way that made her feel almost beautiful. She straightened her posture, lifted her chin, and looked herself in the eyes, searching for the strength she knew was buried deep within her. "I can do this," she affirmed again, the words solidifying her resolve. With one last glance in the mirror, Daniela turned away, ready to face the night. The weight of the invitation in her hand no longer felt like a burden but like a promise. A promise that perhaps, just perhaps, this evening could be the beginning of something new, something better. As she stepped out into the night, the city's lights twinkling around her, she walked with purpose, each step taking her closer to a world that, though foreign, held the potential to change her life in ways she had only dared to dream of. Daniela stood in front of the mirror one last time, taking in her reflection with a sense of determination that had been building all day. The dress she wore, though simple, felt worthy of the luxurious party she was about to attend. If anyone disapproved, that would be their problem, not hers. She had resolved to be herself, confident that whatever happened, life would go on. As the hour of the party drew nearer, a mix of responsibility and expectation began to weigh heavily on her shoulders. The reality of what she was about to do set in, and she turned to John, her source of unwavering support, for one final moment of reassurance. "I'm going to the party now," she said, her voice thick with emotion as she prepared to step out the door. John, with a wisdom far beyond his years, enveloped her in a tight hug. "Take care, Mom. Don't worry about anything. You're going to shine. I know it," he said, his belief in her as solid as a rock. To him, the simple dress wasn't a shortcoming. It was a testament to his mother's resilience and determination. Bolstered by John's words, Daniela felt a warmth spread through her heart, melting away some of the anxiety that had threatened to take hold. She made her way to the door, pausing for a moment to take a deep breath and gather her strength. "You can do this," she whispered to herself, her voice barely audible as she sought to banish the last remnants of doubt. "You deserve to be at that party just as much as anyone else. You're a guest and you belong there." With that, she called a taxi, using the few coins she had left. A clear reminder of Alejandro's unexpected generosity and the unlikely chain of events that had brought her to this moment. As the taxi arrived, Daniela took the first step away from her familiar, everyday life and toward a night that she hoped would mark the beginning of a new chapter. Meanwhile, Alejandro had already arrived at the venue, his presence commanding attention as he strode through the luxurious space with an air of superiority. His steps echoed confidently against the marble floors, and as he approached the doorman, he wasted no time on pleasantries. "Listen carefully," he began, his voice dripping with authority. "There will be a guest tonight who is quite different from our usual attendees." The doorman, accustomed to the whims and demands of powerful entrepreneurs like Alejandro, listened intently, ready to follow orders. "Her name is Daniela Ramirez," Alejandro continued, a malicious smile curling on his lips. "She's a simple woman. You'll recognize her by her red hair and an appearance that doesn't belong in a place like this. You can tell by looking at her that she barely has enough money to cover her basic needs." His words were laced with contempt, deliberately painting Daniela as someone who was out of her depth in such a lavish environment. "But let her in," he added, his tone taking on a cruel edge. "It will be entertaining to see how someone like her navigates a party like this." Alejandro's laughter was soft, devoid of any warmth or kindness, as he made it clear that Daniela was not a guest of honor in his eyes, but rather a pawn in his twisted game of power and humiliation. As the taxi carried Daniela through the illuminated streets of Mexico City, the city's lights reflecting in her eyes, she allowed herself to daydream about what the night might hold. Beneath the layers of anxiety and fear, a spark of excitement began to flicker. "We're almost there," she thought, her heart racing. "I hope at least one person likes me. Maybe I can leave with a job or at least a new friend." When the taxi pulled up in front of the party venue, a grand building that exuded power and wealth, Daniela felt a wave of nervousness wash over her. The sheer grandeur of the place was overwhelming, its towering facade seeming to reach for the night sky. "So this is it," she murmured to herself, her voice barely above a whisper as she took a deep breath and stepped out of the taxi. The doorman, a man of rigid posture dressed in an impeccable uniform, was waiting for her arrival. As Daniela approached, the doorman spoke in a tone that was both respectful and authoritative. "You must be Daniela, Mr. Alejandro's guest, correct?" he asked, his words startling her. Daniela's heart skipped a beat, her anxiety flaring up once more. "Yes, that's right. Daniela Ramirez," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "But how did you know my name just by seeing me arrive?" Her question was laced with confusion and a hint of unease. The doorman consulted the list on his clipboard, nodding as he confirmed her name. "Welcome, Ms. Ramirez. Mr. Alejandro informed me earlier that if I saw someone matching your description, I should let you in. He mentioned your name specifically," he explained with a slight smile. "Please go up. The party is being held in the main hall." He gestured toward the luxuriously decorated elevator, its golden doors gleaming in the soft light. As Daniela stepped into the elevator, her heart pounded in her chest. The doors closed behind her with a soft click, and she was left alone with her thoughts, the ride to the main hall feeling both too short and too long. The reality of what she was about to face weighed heavily on her, but she steeled herself with the words she had whispered earlier. "You can do this. You deserve to be here." When the elevator doors opened, Daniela found herself stepping into a world of opulence she had only ever seen from afar. The room before her was a dazzling display of wealth and sophistication, filled with the city's elite. For a moment, she felt like an outsider, but she quickly reminded herself of John's words and the strength she carried within. She held her head high and took her first step into the party, determined to make the most of this unexpected opportunity, no matter what the night had in store. As Daniela ascended in the elevator, a swirl of emotions gripped her heart, stirred by the unsettling encounter with the doorman. The confusion she felt was palpable, and she wrestled with her racing thoughts. "Is this happening?" she pondered, astonished by her boldness. Stepping out into the opulent hallway, she was immediately enveloped by an atmosphere of refined elegance. The soft strains of music wove through the air, creating a warm, inviting backdrop for the animated conversations that buzzed around her. Daniela's arrival did not go unnoticed. The room seemed to shift as multiple pairs of eyes turned towards her, some filled with curiosity, others with calculating scrutiny. She felt the weight of their gazes like a heavy cloak, intensifying her already mounting anxiety. "They must be questioning what a person like me is doing here," she thought, battling the urge to retreat. Despite her inner turmoil, Daniela was resolute not to let her trepidation defeat her. She squared her shoulders and walked with a determined stride towards the bar, silently hoping a drink might soothe her jittery nerves. "Perhaps a cocktail will steady my nerves," she mused, trying to project an air of casual confidence as she placed her order. As she waited, her gaze roamed the grand hall, searching for Alejandro, the enigmatic figure who had set this intricate sequence of events into motion. Yet, he was nowhere to be found. a mere phantom at the edge of the evening's festivities. Where could you be, Alejandro? Why did you extend the invitation? The mystery of his absence only deepened her curiosity. Resolute not to let his absence overshadow her evening, Daniela took her drink and began to navigate the room, her eyes taking in the lively clusters of conversation, the shimmering elegance of the attire, and the myriad expressions of the guests around her. Maybe I can find a place for myself here. The way these people interact is fascinating. I'd like to engage with them, she thought, allowing a glimmer of hope to seep into her resolve. Gradually, Daniela began to perceive a shift. Beneath the veneer of luxury, there was a genuine, heartfelt connection among the guests. Laughter erupted spontaneously, stories were exchanged with warmth, and for a brief moment, Daniela found herself momentarily liberated from her insecurities. Everyone here is simply seeking connection, looking for common ground. Perhaps I am not so out of place after all, she mused, feeling a tentative sense of belonging. Determined not to let the night be overshadowed by her doubts, she resolved to take an active role in the evening's unfolding drama. I'm going to engage with someone, ask a question, and immerse myself in this experience, she decided, her heart pounding with a blend of nervous anticipation and excitement. For Daniela, this was more than a mere social outing. It was the dawn of a night brimming with potential for fresh experiences and, perhaps, new beginnings. With her glass of wine in hand, Daniela began to navigate the bustling hall, her heart fluttering with the mingled excitement and nerves of the evening. The air was alive with the hum of animated conversations and the occasional burst of laughter, a testament to the sophisticated yet vibrant atmosphere of the event. Despite the palpable sense of affluence and influence that seemed to envelop everyone around her, Daniela was determined not to let her initial anxiety undermine her experience. It was at this pivotal moment that her eyes landed on a solitary figure, a woman standing apart from the crowd, intently admiring one of the elaborate paintings that adorned the walls of the hall. Inspired by a surge of newfound courage, Daniela decided to seize the opportunity to connect. "Excuse me for intruding," Daniela began, her voice steady and inviting. "But this painting is truly captivating, don't you think?" Her words carried a genuine curiosity and an eagerness to engage. Though she wasn't particularly knowledgeable about art, Daniela understood that a well-placed compliment could be a bridge to meaningful conversation, and this was precisely what she hoped for. The woman turned towards Daniela, her face brightening with a warm, welcoming smile that immediately put Daniela at ease. "Oh yes, it's one of my personal favorites from this collection. You have a discerning eye," she replied, her voice rich with sincerity. Daniela soon learned that this gracious and approachable woman was Roberta Viller. "I'm Roberta, and it's a delight to meet you," she said with genuine warmth. "Daniela Ramirez." Daniela introduced herself, feeling a spark of connection as she did. Their conversation flowed naturally, effortlessly bridging topics from art to music, and soon, to their professional lives. Roberta spoke of her work with a sense of pride and passion, though she remained unaware of Daniela's circumstances. "You might not have heard of me, but I'm the owner of Viller Autos, a network of dealerships scattered throughout Mexico." Roberta mentioned, her tone modest yet filled with quiet pride. Daniela was pleasantly surprised by Roberta's humble demeanor, a refreshing contrast to the more distant and elitist personalities she had anticipated encountering at such an event. "Oh, I'm well aware of who you are, Mrs. Viller," Daniela said, her voice imbued with genuine admiration. "Your achievements are impressive. I've long admired those who excel in the business world. Your dealerships are renowned across the country. Unfortunately, during my last visit, I couldn't afford one of your stunning cars, but I am hopeful that someday I will have the opportunity." Daniela's words, marked by genuine humility and sincere respect, cut through the superficiality of the environment, allowing her authentic self to shine through. As the conversation continued, Daniela and Roberta's dialogue attracted the attention of other entrepreneurs present. The magnetic pull of Roberta's enthusiasm and the engaging exchange between Daniela and Roberta drew curious onlookers. "Who is this delightful new face, Roberta?" inquired a middle-aged man, his voice tinged with genuine interest as he observed the engaging conversation unfolding. From afar, it was clear that Daniela had managed to weave herself into a dialogue that was both vibrant and insightful, characterized by the exchange of smiles and thoughtful words that resonated with the corporate world they inhabited. Although Alejandro remained absent, Roberta took the opportunity to introduce Daniela to the expanding circle. "Allow me to introduce you to Daniela Ramirez, a fascinating new acquaintance I've had the pleasure of meeting tonight. She offers a unique perspective on the current market and possesses an impressive taste in both art and fashion. Just look at her dress. Its understated elegance must have been quite an investment. It embodies a refined minimalism that perfectly complements the evening's ambience," Roberta said, integrating Daniela seamlessly into the conversation circle with an air of genuine admiration and ease. As Daniela mingled further, she began to appreciate the depth and warmth of the interactions around her. Despite the grandeur of the setting, it was the sincerity of the connections that stood out, and Daniela felt a growing sense of belonging. This evening, which had started with uncertainty, was beginning to unfold into an experience brimming with new possibilities and potential friendships. Although Daniela was initially taken aback by her swift inclusion into the conversation, she quickly adapted with a blend of grace and confidence. The dialogue turned to pressing topics like economic trends, market innovations, and industry dynamics. Daniela, though not a seasoned professional, drew upon her personal insights and life experiences, providing responses that, while simple, were grounded in a solid understanding. "I believe the business sector is crucial for our country's progress. It drives our economy forward. Despite common misconceptions, not everyone in business is cutthroat or unscrupulous. Many genuinely strive to make a positive impact," Daniela articulated, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. The entrepreneurs around her nodded appreciatively, clearly impressed by her perceptive comments and her ability to engage in such significant discussions. "You have an exceptionally clear perspective for someone who doesn't frequently attend these types of events. Or at least, I haven't seen you at any before. You should consider participating more in our gatherings. There's much we could learn from each other, and I believe there's potential for valuable knowledge exchange between our companies," one of the attendees remarked. This endorsement further cemented Daniela's sense of acceptance and belonging, easing her previous doubts about fitting into this elite social circle. As the evening wore on, Daniela found herself seamlessly integrating into various conversations, her initial apprehensions gradually giving way to a sense of ease. Yet, a lingering unease tugged at her thoughts. "Where is Alejandro? He had promised to attend this event, but I haven't spotted him. The conversation is flowing well, but he is the only one who knows the true circumstances of my presence here. If the truth were to come out, he would be my only ally in defending myself against potential backlash." Meanwhile, Alejandro, who had been discreetly observing from a secluded room, finally made his entrance into the main hall. His night had been spent in the shadows, gauging the reactions of the guests to Daniela's unexpected presence. As he entered, his gaze zeroed in on Daniela, who, to his dismay and irritation, was surrounded by a circle of influential entrepreneurs, all deeply engaged in animated discussions with her. The sight was a jolt to Alejandro, who had anticipated that Daniela would be relegated to the periphery. Instead, she was being warmly embraced and attentively listened to. Determined to alter the course of the evening, Alejandro approached a few entrepreneurs standing on the fringes of the group. In a hushed, conspiratorial tone, he began to spread seeds of doubt. "Did you notice who we have at the party tonight? I've heard she's barely able to make ends meet, let alone contribute anything meaningful here. It's rather amusing," he murmured, hoping to elicit laughter or at least stir curiosity. However, his efforts met with indifference. The entrepreneurs, barely acknowledging his comments, quickly returned to their conversations, leaving Alejandro isolated and frustrated. Undeterred, Alejandro decided to escalate his approach. Raising his voice to cut through the ambient murmur, he declared, "Everyone seems quite taken with someone who has no place in this world. Daniela Ramirez, the supposed star of the evening, is nothing more than an ordinary woman with no business credentials or standing. How can she possibly add value to our discussions?" She doesn't belong here. His declaration reverberated through the room, a stark attempt to undermine Daniela's newfound acceptance and to reassert control over the narrative of the evening. Alejandro's words echoed ominously through the hall, slicing through the sophisticated ambience with a harshness that drew startled glances and a palpable discomfort from the guests. "She doesn't have the credentials to be here," he declared, his voice dripping with contempt. "She's nothing more than an intruder in our midst, someone who can't tell the difference between a business meeting and a grocery shopping list." He continued, each syllable designed to humiliate Daniela and assert his superiority. The venomous sting of his comments left Daniela momentarily stunned, the weight of his cruelty crashing over her like a cold wave. Yet, rather than retreating into the shadows, she stood tall, her gaze meeting Alejandro's with a steely resolve that belied her internal turmoil. The charged atmosphere made it evident that, despite Alejandro's malicious intent, Daniela was not isolated in this moment. The shifting glances from those around her, now imbued with a sense of solidarity and even respect, spoke volumes louder than Alejandro's attempts to belittle her. A significant shift occurred when a distinguished figure from the tech sector, known for his influence, broke the heavy silence. His voice rang out with indignation. "This is utterly unacceptable. We are gathered here not to demean others, especially those who have valuable perspectives to offer." The collective murmurs of agreement spread like wildfire among the crowd, as dissatisfaction and disapproval grew evident. It was at this pivotal moment that Roberta Viller, who had been silently observing, stepped forward with unwavering authority. Her face was etched with disappointment as she addressed the room. "This is not merely unacceptable. It undermines the very essence of what this evening stands for." Roberta began, her voice firm and resolute. "Alejandro, your actions not only tarnish the reputation of this gathering, but also reveal a profound lack of character and respect. This behavior is unbecoming of anyone who claims to be a respectable businessman." Alejandro attempted to interject, but Roberta silenced him with a commanding gesture. "No, I am not finished," she continued, her words cutting through the murmurs. This event was meant to foster connections, to bring together individuals from diverse backgrounds to share ideas and build bridges, not to sow discord or belittle others. Turning her gaze toward Daniela, who stood with a dignity that defied the humiliation inflicted upon her, Roberta offered a gesture of solidarity. "Daniela, I want to extend my deepest apologies for the unwarranted disrespect you have endured. Your treatment tonight does not reflect the values upheld by those present, save for the individual who made those offensive comments." Finally, addressing the entire assembly, Roberta made a decisive statement. "And so, Alejandro, I must ask you to leave this gathering. Your presence here is no longer welcome." The guests watched in a mix of satisfaction and surprise as Alejandro, now visibly shaken and seething with anger, exited the room. His departure was met with a collective sigh of relief, the atmosphere shifting to one of restored justice and renewed camaraderie. The mood of the evening was reestablished, and the gathering resumed with an air of solidarity, a testament to the strength and integrity of those who stood by Daniela. Roberta approached Daniela, her steps measured and her demeanor warm. Gently placing a reassuring hand on Daniela's shoulder, she spoke with a tone of heartfelt sincerity. "I hope you can view this incident as an isolated occurrence, not as a reflection of the people here tonight. You are more than welcome to stay and continue joining us. And as for Alejandro, rest assured that after tonight's debacle, he will certainly face the consequences of his actions." Daniela's eyes sparkled with a mix of gratitude and emotion. "Thank you, Roberta, and everyone here," she responded, her voice trembling with sincerity. "Your support means more to me than I can fully express. My life isn't like yours, and I don't belong to this world, but being here tonight has been an incredible experience." Roberta, touched by Daniela's heartfelt response and intrigued by the woman whose story had captivated the room, leaned in with genuine curiosity. "Daniela, if you don't mind sharing, we'd love to learn more about you," she said warmly. "How did you come to be here with us tonight?" Encouraged by the empathy and understanding that surrounded her, Daniela began to recount her journey with a mix of vulnerability and resilience. "Life has led me down unexpected paths," she began, her voice carrying the weight of her past struggles. She spoke of her challenges as a single mother, the relentless effort to provide for her son, and the serendipitous turn of events that led her to Alejandro. "After my ex-husband left us, I had to navigate everything on my own. A few weeks ago, I lost my job as a cleaner in a woman's house, and I've been searching for work ever since. Alejandro had suggested that this evening might be an opportunity, so I came here with a glimmer of hope." Daniela concluded, her story leaving a profound impact on her listeners. As Daniela shared her experiences, the atmosphere in the room grew heavy with emotion. Several guests were visibly moved, their eyes glistening with tears as they absorbed the depth of her strength and perseverance. "Despite everything you've been through, you maintain such a positive and hopeful outlook. That's truly inspiring," commented a middle-aged businessman, his voice reflecting his genuine admiration. Roberta, deeply moved by Daniela's courage and the grace with which she had handled the situation, felt a surge of compassion and respect. She made a spontaneous decision that seemed fitting in the moment. "Daniela, your story and the strength of your character have profoundly touched me," she declared, drawing the attention of everyone in the room. "I believe that someone with your determination and positivity deserves a significant opportunity." With a radiant smile, Roberta made her offer. "As a token of admiration for your resilience, I would like to gift you a car from my dealership. Moreover, I'd like to extend an offer for you to join our team. We would start you as a saleswoman, but with the promise of growth and advancement within the company. Your story is a testament to the fact that with grit and determination, you can achieve anything you set your heart on." The room erupted in applause, a collective gesture of support and admiration for Daniela's remarkable journey. The evening, which had begun with tension and discomfort, transformed into a celebration of the human spirit and new beginnings. Daniela, overwhelmed by the unexpected turn of events, felt a deep sense of gratitude and hope for the future, thanks to the compassion and generosity of her newfound friends. As Roberta's offer of the car and the job hung in the air, she turned to Daniela, her gaze full of anticipation. "What do you say, Daniela? Are you ready to start this new chapter with us?" The room fell into a hushed expectancy, all eyes on Daniela as she grappled with the enormity of the moment. Overcoming the initial shock and the tears that threatened to well up, Daniela's face brightened with a smile that seemed to illuminate the entire space. "Yes, Roberta, I am more than ready. Thank you so much for this incredible opportunity," she responded, her voice steady and infused with renewed determination. The applause that followed was not just for Roberta's generosity but also Daniela's courage and resilience, a testament to the evening's unexpected turn of events. The celebratory atmosphere continued as several businessmen approached Daniela to extend their congratulations and support. "Daniela, if you need anything, here's my card," one businessman said, handing her a card. "And if you're interested in expanding your skills, we offer training programs at our company that might be of interest to you," he added, his admiration for Daniela's story evident. The warmth of the offers and the genuine interest shown by the guests filled Daniela with a sense of belonging and anticipation for the future. As the night drew to a close, Daniela found herself enveloped in the camaraderie of newfound friends and future colleagues. Each conversation opened doors to possibilities she had never envisioned before. The prospect of a new job and the supportive network she had gained were beginning to reshape her outlook on life. When it was finally time to leave, Daniela felt a profound shift in her sense of self and her hopes for the future. She turned to Roberta, her voice imbued with heartfelt gratitude. "Tonight has changed my life. I'm excited about what the future holds, and I promise to give my best in this new position. Thank you from the bottom of my heart." Roberta's smile conveyed a deep satisfaction with the positive impact she had made. "Welcome to the team, Daniela. I'm confident you'll make a significant difference at Viller Autos, just as you've touched so many lives tonight. Everyone has been very pleased to meet you." With Roberta's words of encouragement and the promise of new beginnings, Daniela left the party, transformed by the evening's events and optimistic about the future that lay ahead. Returning home, Daniela's heart was buoyant with the excitement of the night's twists and turns. She opened the door to her modest apartment, greeted by the sleepy figure of her son, John, who had waited up for her. "Mom, how did it go?" he asked, his eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity and excitement. Kneeling to embrace him, Daniela's eyes glistened with the joy she felt. "It was incredible, John, far beyond anything I could have imagined," she began, recounting Roberta's unexpected generosity, the gift of the car, and the promise of a promising job. Each detail she shared made John's face light up with delight, his excitement mirroring the profound change that was unfolding for them. "Does this mean things are going to get better for us, Mom?" John's voice was full of hope, despite his sleepy demeanor. "Yes, dear, much better," Daniela replied, her optimism shining through. "I met some truly remarkable people who have promised to support us. Now that I have a job, we can start celebrating our days together in a new and exciting way." Her heart, renewed by the evening's possibilities, was full of hope and gratitude. As they embraced, Daniela felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that the future was now brimming with opportunities and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. In the months that followed, Daniela's life underwent a remarkable transformation. Each morning, she drove to work in her new car, a symbol of her renewed prospects and the promising future that lay ahead. Her arrival at Viller Autos was met with warm smiles from colleagues who quickly became friends and mentors. Roberta, always a supportive presence, made it a point to stay involved in Daniela's progress, offering invaluable advice and opportunities to broaden her skills. Under Roberta's mentorship and with the encouragement of her team, Daniela excelled in her role as a saleswoman and began paving the way toward a promising management position. "You have a natural talent for this, Daniela. I'm truly impressed," Roberta remarked after Daniela's presentation on innovative customer service ideas. With each passing day, Daniela's confidence grew, and she found herself more secure in her career and in her place in the world. She was not merely building a career. She was constructing a stable future for herself and her son, John, a future that was filled with hope and free from the uncertainties that had once cast shadows over her life. In stark contrast, Alejandro faced a very different fate. The repercussions of his actions at the party reverberated throughout his social and professional circles, leading to the disintegration of valuable business relationships. The company he had built with such pride began to falter, piece by piece, until he had no choice but to sell it to cover mounting debts. Stripped of the status and wealth that had once defined him, Alejandro was compelled to start anew with the scant resources he had left. He opened a modest market, a far cry from the opulent party halls where he had once thrived. The irony of his new beginning was not lost on him. He found himself on the same side of the spectrum he had once despised in Daniela. Life had taught him a hard lesson in humility and redemption. As he worked day in and day out in his market, Alejandro slowly began to rebuild his life, not as the arrogant magnate he once was, but as someone who had learned the true value of respect and compassion. For Daniela and John, the memory of that pivotal night remained a constant reminder of their journey. Daniela reflected on how the kindness she received was more than just a stroke of luck. It was a revelation of her inner strength. No matter how daunting the challenges, she realized, there is always a way forward, a light at the end of the tunnel. John, in turn, watched in awe as his mother evolved from a worried, overwhelmed woman into a confident, respected professional. Her transformation became a source of inspiration for him. "Mom, when I grow up, I want to be strong like you," John said one evening, his eyes filled with admiration and love. "You're already strong, John," Daniela replied, embracing him warmly. "We've faced many challenges together, and you've always been my source of encouragement. You're already very strong for your age, and I'm sure you'll grow even more resilient. Together, we can face anything." Her words were more than a comfort. They were a testament to the strength and hope that had defined their journey. As they looked forward to their future, Daniela and John faced it with renewed confidence and a sense of boundless possibilities, knowing that they had the strength to overcome whatever lay ahead. Across town, Alejandro's market, though modest, began to impart invaluable lessons about community and simplicity. The customers who entered his store were more than mere patrons. They became his friends, sharing stories and offering support. Gradually, Alejandro started to view life through a new lens, understanding that success is not solely defined by financial gain, but by the depth of human connections. In a moment of introspection, as he closed the market for the evening, Alejandro reflected on the emptiness of his former world, characterized by materialism and relentless competition. Maybe this isn't an end, but a new beginning. I just need to know where to start, he mused, feeling a rare sense of peace beginning to fill him, a peace he had not experienced in years. Daniela, on the other hand, thrived as a key figure at Villar Autos. Her role not only provided financial stability but also imbued her with a profound sense of purpose. She and Roberta formed a deep friendship, bound by mutual respect and a shared belief in the power of positive change. Daniela's journey from adversity to triumph became an inspirational tale within her community, symbolizing what can be accomplished through courage, perseverance, and the support of genuine friends. Each morning, as she drove to work, Daniela embraced the promise of a new day, recognizing every opportunity to build an even brighter future for herself and her son, John. Thus, the story of Daniela and Alejandro unfolded along different but interconnected paths, both shaped by the same transformative night. For Daniela, it marked the start of a new chapter characterized by success and fulfillment. For Alejandro, it represented a challenging yet necessary lesson in the true values of life. In their unique ways, both found new beginnings, demonstrating that even in the darkest times, there is always potential for growth, redemption, and hope. Thank you for joining us in this inspiring journey through the lives of Daniela and Alejandro. Their stories of transformation and resilience remind us that even in our darkest moments, there is always hope and a chance for a new beginning. We'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from this story that resonates with you? How do you plan to bring these lessons into your own life? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us continue to bring you more uplifting and motivating stories. See you in the next video.